right now.
I think he's 39.
39. A-Rod is 39. Right on the money, CV.
Okay.
And turns 40 in the middle of the year. So
now, speaking of A-Rod, we're going to move on to our next segment, which is Who's Thanking Who? In the spirit of Thanksgiving, there's a lot of people in sports who deserve thank yous from others. So, our first one is actually A-Rod, but he's receiving some thanks from Barry Bonds. Who doesn't love Barry Bonds? I mean, we haven't talked about him all year, even though he cheated his way past Hank Aaron. But now, because you called them biogenesis allegations, I think we've gotten to the point where we can call them truths. A-Rod has done so much this year that we don't even talk about Barry Bonds anymore.
Yep.
So, Barry Bonds, why don't you go ahead and send a thank you letter to A-Rod for basically getting your name out of the spotlight. Actually, we did see about a month ago, was it? Barry Bonds took a picture with Kanye and Kimmy K. No one even noticed. No one even talked about him cheating. Steroids, nothing. I thought that was kind of surprising. Just have his name, because he's kind of disappeared after the whole perjury trial. So, next up we have Chris Bosh should be thanking LeBron. To paraphrase the great Kobe Bryant, LeBron got out of Chris Bosh's way. Now, Chris Bosh is averaging 21, about 22.
I think Chris Bosh should be thanking LeBron, not because of the stats that he has now, but because of the money that he's made.
That's true.
LeBron leaving.
Chris Bosh did get a max deal from the Heat. Not only that, he's averaging 22 points a game, 9 rebounds. The Heat are 8-7. I mean, given we're only about 15 games into the season. But Miami is on top of Cleveland in the standings. The Heat are 8-7. The Cavs are 6-7. LeBron has been struggling with the Cavs. And Chris Bosh has been pretty good in Miami. Despite Dwayne Wade's knees being older than Pat Riley. Despite not having the greatest player in the world. So, I think the Heat will make the playoffs. And we'll see. And Chris Bosh is back to his old form, like in Toronto, being the star. And I think it'd be crazy if he didn't love it. Next up, we have Colt McCoy thanking RG3. RG3 has just been so terrible that Jay Gruden has decided to bench him for this week. Colt McCoy will be starting. We're not even talking about Kirk Cousins anymore. I'm surprised about that.
Remember when we were saying Kirk Cousins was going to get traded, and be good on any team, possibly Oakland, Houston. And now he probably will never get a starting job.
Yeah, I remember, I think it was 2 months ago, I said I would be happy if the Steelers traded for Kirk Cousins and he'd be our future quarterback. Just kidding. I'm totally wrong on that.
I bet Kirk Cousins gets another chance.
I don't know. He did pretty bad.
I don't know where it is, but I bet he signs on as a backup somewhere else, not in Washington. And then someone gets hurt and he gets another chance and does well with it. I bet you he gets another chance.
All right. Well, we'll see if how that turns out. But Colt McCoy will be starting this weekend. Who are they? Who are they playing again? The R-words?
What R-words playing?
They are in Indianapolis facing the Colts. So
that'll be fun.
Poor Colt McCoy.
That's a loss.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. The Colts did actually sign Sean Phillips earlier today.
I think of the wins that the R-words have this year.
Oh, that's -2, Snowball. It's your second time tonight.
Their wins. I mean, they had the Cowboys win, but they did beat the Titans and the Jaguars, which.
Wow, they beat the Titans and the Jaguars.
Doesn't really count as wins. I mean, the Giants, they're playing the Jags. If they lose to the Jags, I'm probably
Denard Robinson, 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Watch it happen.
Probably won't watch football ever for the rest of the year. So,
But I could go Jake Liker and make a joke on how Colt McCoy is playing the Colts, but I will refrain from doing so.
You literally just did. And I'm surprised no one pulled out the RG 3-8 joke, or RG 3 years and done in Washington. Those were actually pretty good ones. I, for one, loved whoever made the edit of the handicap symbol and put RG3 in there. That was actually pretty good. But next up, we have the city of Omaha thanking Peyton Manning. Now, Peyton Manning has gotten some great exposure for the city of Omaha. Now, I don't know too much about it, but
I know there's a good steak named after that place.
that is true, and that's really all anyone knows about Omaha, Nebraska. It is the largest city in the state of Nebraska, and is the county seat of Douglas County, Nebraska. Like, how did we not know this?
And it's also the home of the College World Series for baseball.
Isn't that ridiculous?
I did know that.
Isn't that ridiculous how we didn't even know that if it wasn't for Peyton Manning of the Denver Broncos saying Omaha about, 10 times every 30 seconds?
Eli used to say it a lot too, I think. Even,
but we already talked about how Eli's terrible, and no one really cares about Eli.
There's also a good baseball bat made by Louisville Slugger, called the Omaha.
And Omaha does have a population of about 400,000.
And they have some pretty darn good steaks.
So thank you, Peyton Manning, from the city of Omaha, Nebraska, for some well-needed exposure. Next up, we have Florida State University thanking the playoff committee. CB actually argued with me a little bit over this one, but
just a little bit.
There was some yelling involved. But Florida State is ranked number 3 in the latest college football playoff poll, which is absolutely ridiculous. They should be nowhere near the top 5. They are undefeated, but so is Marshall. And Marshall has had more convincing wins than Florida State.
All right, that's where I stop you. Florida State did beat Notre Dame.
Florida State beat Notre Dame on a goal line stand, which was questionable.
It was a good game. It was supposed to be a close game.
And where is Notre Dame ranked?
Still better than teams that Marshall's played.
Okay, that's fair. But Florida State almost lost to Louisville. They almost lost to Notre Dame. Didn't they? Who'd they play last week? They almost lost last week.
Miami.
Boston College. They almost lost to Boston College. They almost lost to University of Miami. So are they really the number 3 team in the country?
They're going to give it to them because they're defending national champs, and they have pretty much the same guys returning, especially Jameis, who obviously has not done nearly as well as he did last year. But they're still winning these games. They still haven't lost in over a year, over 2 years almost. So I would give it to them, and I think they still deserve number 3.
See, why I say they aren't thanking the college football playoff is I say the BCS system, which is entirely done by was entirely done by computers, as you're pretty much aware of, would have them in the top 2. I believe that the completely human aspect of how unconvincing they've been has really played in people's minds, and I think that's why they're not in the top 2 is because it's entirely human done. But with the BCS system, I think they would have been ranked in the top 2. Now, I don't think those computers still do calculations, so I can't prove that. But I think that they should be hating on the committee because they a 3 to a team that won a national championship last year and still hasn't lost a game in a major conference is quite ridiculous, I believe. I think they're going to sneak into the playoffs. They're probably going to fall 3rd or 4th. And probably go on to win all again because that's who they are. They like to win close games.
Okay. I just feel like how strong is the ACC in actuality? And they've had 4, maybe even more close games against unranked opponents. And they're just not the same team. They're not the same team that beat Auburn in the national title game. But finally, we have the Yankees ticket sales. I guess the ticket sales office thanking Derek Jeter. Now, Snowball, you know all about this as a Mets fan. Derek Jeter driving up prices for just about everything, including tickets. This is just a no-brainer.
No-brainer. The Yankees were a team that struggled a lot of the year. Did finish over 500, but barely. Didn't make the playoffs. Without Derek Jeter, we probably would have seen a lot more empty seats in Yankee Stadium, especially for the prices that they put on those seats. So they should be thinking Jeter, farewell. But they're done now because it's now that Mariano retired, Jeter retire. They're not going to have a celebration when A-Rod retires. So
The core four is completely gone.
exactly. So now it's all done. So now they got to really, the ticket sales are really going to be on the talent of the team, how good the team is, and not just on who's even this year.
That's fair.
I think the Yankees can finish. I think the Yankees can finish as low as third or fourth this year. I think the Rays are going to take a huge step back. They lost. They traded away David Price and lost a lot.
They don't John anymore either.
They don't have Joe Madden, which is a big loss. They lost their general manager, Andrew Friedman, who's one of the best in baseball. They really took a big step back.
You might even see the old Rays this year, like the old 2000, from 2000, whatever they started, whenever they started to 2007. Those were the bad.
Yeah, I mean, losing one of the best general managers in Andrew Friedman, one of the best managers in Joe Madden in the game, is a really big loss for a team that can't sustain a big payroll. So I think they're going to take a big step back because they also did lose a lot of talent. I think the Blue Jays will be around the same as last year. I think the Red Sox will be improved. I think the Orioles will be improved. And I think the Yankees will be worse than last year. They're just going to continue to get older, continue to struggle. Sure, having Masahiro Tanaka for a full season might help them, but it doesn't look like they're actually going to sign anyone this year. And so they're going to bring back a 39-year-old A-Rod who hasn't played in a year, and that's going to be their big addition for the year. So I think this team's going to struggle as well. They could finish third or fourth this year, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Brian Cashman needs to learn the word rebuild and its meaning, because that's what the Yankees need to do. But that's just my opinion. All right, before we get on to the Borough of the Week homer statement, all that good stuff, we do need to talk a little fantasy. Now, in the league, all three of us are in, the SBC Boston League. We did have a great season. This week will be the start of the playoffs. So, first off, we had the Loch Ness Monsters, owned by Matt Stolboff, going 4-8. Now, although some might think that he didn't pay attention to the league, because there was one player who shall not be named who went 3-9, who did not pay attention to the league at all.
Didn't watch football.
He didn't watch football at all because he was so busy with school and other stuff. Snowball paid attention to this league and actually tried. Went 4-8. Do you have anything to say for yourself, Snowball?
Yeah, I just didn't get the players I wanted. I was the only one who did not trade any draft picks during the draft, if you remember.
Whose fault is that?
I'm going to talk to Noah and try to prevent trading draft picks next time.
Wow. Well, jeez.
Do you want to stand against it? Because I don't think it's fair.
It is important to note, we had a live draft that night. It was absolutely insane. There was so much draft pick trading. We'll get more to that when we talk about CB's team. But second place in the West Division, one of the four semifinalists, the Bay Area Bros, owned by yours truly, went 8-4. We are in the playoffs. We are playing California Faithful, owned by Jake Liker, in the semifinal. And we'll play the winner of Bang Bang and Keith Olbermann in the other semifinal. Bang Bang, gee, I wonder who owns that team.
Bang Bang?
Yep, it's CB. He went 9-3 this year, and he will play Keith Olbermann, owned by Noah Taborda. It's an inside joke, you wouldn't understand. But they play in the semifinal, so I'll probably be going up against Noah in the final for the title. But CB did have a great season. He did not have a single first-round draft pick because he traded.
I think my first overall pick was 17.
His first overall pick was in the third round, I think, right?
It was late second.
It was late second round. You got DeMarco Murray and Drew Brees in the third round, I believe, right?
DeMarco Murray I got in the third round. I got Drew Brees and might have been Monte Ball, who's long gone off my team, but
yeah, it was insane.
No, I only got Drew Brees. I traded my other second round pick that I acquired. I had 3 third round picks, but I got Monte Ball, DeMarco Murray, and someone else in the third round. I acquired a lot of assets, did a lot of trading up. I recently traded. I had no need for either for LaShawn McCoy, and I felt Calvin Johnson was better than Julio Jones, so I traded those two for Calvin Johnson. So my team right now, my starting lineup for this week is Drew Brees, DeMarco Murray, Denard Robinson, Josh Gordon, Calvin Johnson, Julius Thomas, Odell Beckham Jr., the Seahawks and Phil Dawson. I might